I'd like to welcome everyone. This is Kel Dansby from Black Sports Online, and today we had the pleasure of interviewing Jason High of the UFC. Check it out. First question, Jason. Describe growing up in Kansas City. What was that experience like for you?
It's cool, man. Kansas City is it's a good city. It's now they started revamping downtown. Now it was pretty typical. I think I kind of grew up in the suburbs, so it was quiet. Not much going on as far as I don't know. It's Midwestern. It's a city. A lot of people think it's not a city. I think I live around cows and farms and stuff, but I grew up in the city. Ran around, got in a lot of trouble doing dumb shit, just like any other kid.
Makes sense. What's something when you were younger that you did, like something you had to overcome, something that was kind of troubling, that you really feel that you got past that and made you better?
I'd probably say the major issue in my childhood was, having my dad absent. So it's also pretty typical with black children nowadays. So not nowadays, but when I grew up in the '80s and stuff. So, but I'd say that's a major, one of the formative events in my childhood was, being raised by my mom.
What sacrifices did your mom have to give up? Like, how much did you see? Did you really notice that? Because you said you grew up in the suburbs, so she must have shouldered a lot of that weight.
It was. I didn't really, when you're a kid, you don't really notice it. It's just normal, But she worked during the day and she worked at night also, so I was by myself a lot. I didn't grow up with. I have half brothers from my dad, but I don't have any. They don't have any other kids but me or my dad. So, I was just spending a lot of time, by myself, playing sports or making my own meals and stuff like that. So it's just a single parent household. It's not ideal, but it's not something you think about when you're a kid.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that. I did the same thing. My mom worked all night and kind of come home after practice or something, make yourself something to eat, watch TV, and then, your mom would come home when you're sleeping. You get up in the morning, she's gone. So I understand that. I can relate, and a lot of our readers can relate. What sports really did you start playing? Because I know that's really an outlet when you have all that extra time.
Yeah, I'd say definitely sports. Probably something that got me out of trouble. I still got in plenty of trouble, but sports is definitely something that kept me on a straight line. I've done. I've played it all pretty much. I used to, I did something every season when I was a kid. Soccer, baseball, football. Never played basketball. That's the only thing I never really got into is basketball. But I did gymnastics for a little bit there. And when I was probably like 10 years old, I started wrestling, and then I quit everything else to concentrate on wrestling, and I wrestled through high school and college.
What first got you interested in wrestling? I've lived in Kansas City for a little while, and wrestling is pretty big in the school system out there. But what made you gravitate towards that?
Well, I started actually. I actually remember the first day I had a thought of going to wrestling practices. Me and my buddy, we played football together, and football season's ending, I think, or maybe I'm not sure, but he started talking. He's like, "Yeah, I'll go wrestle." I'll start wrestling starting pretty soon, and I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" So I went to practice with him, for the first time, and I played team sports up to that point besides the gymnastics, which it was fun to me, but I never did any competitions or anything. I just messed around in there, But the one-on-one aspect of it really appealed to me because sometimes on a team sport you can have you do everything right, and then somebody that maybe doesn't care as much as you do, or something like that, or they you can lose a game because of that, So I just kind of maybe it has something to do with being an only child too, I just like to do it all myself, whether I win or lose, it's up
can definitely understand that. So you said you wrestled all the way through high school and college. What made you start MMA? Like, what was the early parts of your career like?
I started 9 years ago, so 2005 I started. And I just started. I didn't do a lot of fights when I was a kid. I mean, not so much when I was a kid, but like in high school and then in college, I got in a lot of fights. Just in college, you're just drinking and doing stupid shit and going out and getting in fights, whatever. So, I took my last semester in college. I went to Costa Rica, and me and a friend went together. And, we were just messing around, and there was this Brazilian at a gym we were working out at. He found out we were wrestlers, and he was a jiu-jitsu teacher. So he brought us in and asked us to. He told us we could come take class for free if we teach him some wrestling. So that's how it all started. I started going to jiu-jitsu classes, and I figured I was pretty good at that. And then I got home from Costa Rica and graduated from college, and I found out one of my high school coaches was fighting. So I was like, I just jumped into one basically. I trained for maybe 2 or 3 months and something, just to familiarize myself a little bit. But I really didn't know what I was doing. I took the fight on like a week's notice. I just drove down to Kansas City. I was in Nebraska, so drove down to Kansas City, took the fight, and won, and that was it. And after that, I started getting gradually more serious about it.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy that you won on a week's notice in your first fight. That's usually not the case. What made you turn pro? Like, when did you know, like, okay, this sport is for me. I think I want to make a career out of this.
Man, I kind of turned pro in accident. After that first fight, I took another fight. The first fight was an amateur fight, and I took another fight, and I just, I didn't know what I was doing. I just took fights. I didn't have a manager or anything. It was just me, my friend that went to Costa Rica with me, and one other guy, this local fighter in Lincoln. And I just took another fight, didn't think anything of it, and then when I was done fighting, I found out it was pro. So I was like, oh, so I guess I'm a pro now. It was, kind of by accident. So.
You made it to the UFC before. Making it there, you lost your first fight and was released. What did that do for your career?
At the time, I wasn't like all that surprised when I got released, because at that point I lost 2 in a row. Second loss in a row. And, I'm probably one of the only guys that get in the UFC got a loss. So, I wasn't really surprised that they cut me off that loss. Plus, the fight wasn't like super exciting, but, everything happens for a reason. I mean, after that, I went on and won, I think I won 6 or 7 straight. Got back in the UFC, and, here I am.
What did you learn along that way? Like, did it humble you? Did it make you hungrier? Because you went, to lower promotions and then Strikeforce, I believe, and you just kept winning. Is that something that you always had in the back of your mind, that hunger to get back to the UFC?
Yeah. I mean, you always look to get back in. Like, I don't know. It wasn't like, I honestly wasn't thinking about it too much. I tried to take it one fight at a time. So I wasn't. I mean, I think I knew eventually that that's what I wanted, and that would be the end result. But it's not something that I really thought about at that point in time. I was just taking fights, trying to work and stay busy and get better. But it did. Every loss teaches you a lot. I mean, it's no fun losing. I mean, nobody wants to lose, but you don't learn much honestly from wins. The losses and practice times where you learn.
Definitely. Now, being back in the UFC for a couple of fights, you've only lost one in your last 10, so you're on a pretty good roll. What would you say has changed with you now as a fighter compared to maybe where you were 5 years ago?
Well, I changed camp from the American Top Team now in Florida. That was like a big change in just training mentality and want to say it. I'm just getting like better training. You know, I mean, it's the best team in the world as far as I'm concerned. And you know, I was with a good team, and I was in the first year, I was first in the UFC. But you know, if you compare the two, it's not really, you know, there's not really a competition for comparison. So, you know, I think I just learned a lot about how you have to, you know, you have to get good coaches, and you have to be training in every discipline, you know, and you have to stay learning. That's the main thing, you know.
What are your goals going forward in the UFC? Like right now, like near future, what's in your head? What is still driving you?
I just want to be the best that I can be, you know. I think I can be a champion at the new weight class, you know, so that's what I'm going for. I want to make a run at that belt and be a champion, you know. So first things first, I got this guy in next week, and he's a big step to that, you know. So that's what I want.
Talking about that fight, you pulled out of your last fight due to appendicitis, if I'm correct. How do you feel now? Are you 100%?
Yeah, I'm good, man. It doesn't bother me at all. But you know, it was a tough ordeal. You know, I've never been in the hospital for that long. You know, I never had any kind of surgery like that, so it was definitely difficult. You know.
No, it's great to hear that you're 100%. And before I get you out of here, though, last question, and this is the toughest question of the entire interview. I'm just preparing you.
Okay.
Kansas City, Gates or Arthur Bryant?
Gates, easy. That's not a tough question. Gates, easy.
All right. Yo, that's like the craziest experience. That's the craziest experience I've had in Kansas City, is going up there and trying to order and look at the menu and just getting yelled at by the ladies behind the counter.
Yeah, it's a little unsettling, but you know, I usually just look at them. Okay, either I look out what I want before I go in there, or I just look at them and then look back at the menu and they go on to somebody else. You know, so. But Gates, gone. If I had to recommend somebody for like the overall barbecue experience, I would send them to Jack Stack. That's you know, they got like nice little restaurant atmosphere, and they got good sides, and they had good beer there. So I'd say Jack Stack was, you know, for if you want like the whole barbecue experience, but for sauce, and Gates definitely has the best sauce, you know. So
that's
not wacky.
All right.
But Jack has good baked beans, though, man. See, now you got me talking about food. I'm about to hit this weight cut. You know, I'll kill somebody for some barbecue right now.
a week away from some barbecue after the win. That's all you need. You need some Gates on deck right after the win.
I know, man. I should have an airlift me some or take some with me. You know, they wrap it up real nice. Send in some ice.
Have it right after a nice rib plate.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks for joining me today, Jason, man. Best of luck in your fight.
No problem. Anytime, man. Thanks.